Hello, my name is Tim Murtagh. I'm presenting to you my research proposal for EXR791, Designing and Developing a Research Project. Okay, so my research will be based around family engagement policies in low socioeconomic schools within the Northern Metropolitan Region, using social justice as a lens to analyse these policies. I will be doing it within the Northern Metropolitan Region because that's where I'm currently teaching. So it'll be the couple of local schools within my area. Family engagement has been seen as a key way to improve the education outcomes of students. There's been a lot of research about connecting families that are disconnected from the education system. That could be, that is research around family engagement, or just research in social justice and discussions on equality and equity. However, I will touch on this. Family engagement policies can worsen inequalities in the education system, especially when they're based around middle class or bourgeois, if you prefer the Marxist philosophy. But when it's based around those ideas of engagement. Therefore, my research questions are as follows. What are the challenges faced by teachers from low SES schools when implementing family engagement policies that are often designed around middle class concepts of family engagement? To what extent does this inhibit efforts to achieve social justice? So the aims of this research is to analyse the tensions between the generic policies implemented at low SES schools and the challenges of achieving social justice. This will obviously have discussions around what is social justice and what do people mean by social justice. The research will also discuss challenges faced by the teachers when trying to achieve these goals of social justice. So for the literature review, I had to look at two different areas of literature, those being family engagement and social justice. There is somewhat of a connection between the two, as I'll talk about now. As I previously mentioned, family engagement is seen as an important way to improve academic outcomes of students. Large efforts have been made to engage those that are disengaged, but often, especially within the lower SES communities, there is a fair bit of disengagement, which is a bit of a challenge. Historically, family engagement was more parental engagement, and even before then it was more mother engagement in education. Over the last 50 or so years, it has expanded from mothers to then parents, so the mother-father, and then it's moved from parents to family engagement, because we've moved on from the simple mother-father-child relationships. We know now that we have same-sex parents, single parents, carers, guardians, grandparent carers, the list goes on. There is a more recent discussion around the terms family engagement and family involvement. I'll use both terms throughout, but that just depends on what researcher I'm talking about and what they might have used. However, just to clarify, family involvement is seen as more of a hands-on approach that the parents are taking in their child's learning, rather than just the simple engagement in the school community. Throughout the literature, there is the challenge of naming what successful family engagement is, which can be seen as a bit of a problem. I'll touch a little more on this on the next slide. What I do find through the literature was that, was that successful family engagement policies did have timely two-way communication. There are large links between family engagement and social justice. There is growing interest in researching how these policies can improve social capital of families and the children in general. Social inequalities can be major roadblocks for family engagement, and this in part is what I will be focusing on my own research. One of the more recent papers I read was jointly written, one of the authors being one of my supervisors. You heard that right, but I've said supervisors. I do have two, not one. But this paper points out some tensions within the family involvement policies, and I'll expand on this in a second. All right, on this slide, just want to talk about some of the theorists and the literature that's quite relevant to my research, my ongoing research. So first is the theorist Bourdieu, who was a French sociologist who followed on from thinkers such as Karl Marx and the rest of the other social thinkers. His key concepts have included theories on social and cultural capital. He was an important theorist in developing understanding of class-based inequalities, and has touched on education systems continuing these inequalities. The next one is Raewyn Connell, who's an Australian sociologist from Sydney University. In her early work, she talked a lot of class division and the way that class and gender hierarchies are remade in the everyday life of schools. So it's that continuing of inequalities which is caused by the schooling systems. The next two things I have here are two important papers. One, the Bull et al. Successful Home School Partnerships was the actual first paper I read on my literature review. It was a multi-site case study. Although I am moving on from case study, I'll discuss this later in methodologies, but I believe this research was important for me as it talked about the challenges and limitations of defining what success is. The next paper was by Blackmore and Hutchison, which is Ambivalent Relations, the Tricky Footwork of Parental Involvement in School Communities. After my discussion with my supervisors and taking a slightly new direction in my research question, this paper helped me formulate and understand where my new question should go. The paper does revolve around social justice through literacy and the challenges, whereas I will limit mine solely to social justice and the challenges and tensions faced by teachers and the concepts of social justice and family involvement or engagement. Okay, this slide is just a very brief outline of the theoretical framework and methodologies. I will go into more depth on each in the next few slides. So we look at, in the epistemology, we look at constructivism, theoretical perspectives, we have conflict perspective, and we talk about critical theory. The methodologies, we have qualitative, phenomenology, and narrative inquiry. And methods and data collection is mainly around interviews, but observation will be used as well. But I'll talk more about that in a minute. The constructivist psychologies theorise about and investigate how human beings create systems for meaningfully understanding their worlds and experiences. So this is mentioned in reference to how teachers have constructed their ideas and their realities in relation to the world around them. And it's not about how they themselves teach or how children learn. So I'm taking this approach to see how teachers construct the world around them and analysing that in the sense of social justice and how they make meaning of the different things and why they think what they think.